Mythic Legions, Advent of Decay, Lucretia the Vampire is in the DorkLair! Welcome to another DorkLair action figure review. Please remember to like, subscribe, comment, and stay tuned for the question of the day at the end of the review. Now, let's take a look at this vampire. So I picked this one up in a trade, but the regular price, direct from Four Horsemen, is $35. So, standard price, regular figure from Mythic Legions. So Lucretia is a member of Illithia's brood, one of the 10 Mythic Legions. And true to the line, this one is gorgeous. For me, the highlights for this figure are the glossy paint, the gorgeous head sculpt, and the massive ancestral blade. Just look at that thing. The packaging on this one has typical, it's basically the standard. They're all basically the same, except for the little bit on the side, which gives you a little bio of the character. I think the named characters have bios, and then everybody else just, it just shows a picture of the figure. But I like the packaging on these. They use a slide out card, so it's kind of almost like a blister, but with a piece that can slide out, so you can put them back in the package if you want to. Let's take a look at Lucretia's size here. So comparing her next to the Colosseum Orc Gladiator and a Mezco 112 Collective Deathstroke, you get a sense of her size. And I think, quite frankly, I think she scales well with those two figures. And coming in for a closer look, the sculpt and paint on this thing is fantastic. It's the strength of the line, in my opinion. You got the glossy black with the silver accents and purple details. You've got a beautiful, unique head sculpt for this figure. Let me get this sword out of the way. I think she just looks fantastic. Evil, evil villain. Those white eyes with the black around there. You got a little bit of shadowing going on above the eyes. Got some earrings or plugs, really. Nice detail in some parts of the purple paint area. That sculpted detail in there. You got the same kind of thing going on in these shoulder armor pieces. You got some purple and stuff. You got a little bit of leather and buckle there, and the same thing down on the boot. So really nice. And then you have some soft plastic pieces. This piece here is made out of a soft plastic. That's all the way around the waist. And then this is a separate piece, like a lot of the figures have that pegs right into the torso. This here actually caused me some troubles. So this collar is attached here, and I actually thought it was a peg and pulled it right off, and I don't think it was. Like, there was no peg there, it was just ripped, so I was able to just glue it back on. But I think that's permanently on there, quite frankly. Kind of weird. And then you have this cape, and I'm not totally sure how it goes in. There's 4 holes in the cape. I have it set up, I'm just going to show you something right now, so that it can go over the shoulders, but it doesn't look totally right in the back the way I have it. But I have it this way because I like it. I like to be able to put it over the shoulders like this. So now let me show you like what exactly is going on with it. So these peg into the shoulders in the back, and there's 4 holes on this cape. And what I did was I took the cape and I did it like this. And I matched that hole up with this overlap like this. I'm sure there's a better way to do it, but that's how I had it. And then that way this part can go up and over the shoulder. So I like the cape. It's quite nice. It's a nice It's a nice material. The edges are clean for the most part. And there's probably a few different options you can do for pegging it in there. I just haven't played around with it a ton. I had it set up the way I liked in the front, and I'm kind of happy with that because I won't really be looking at it from the back anyway. But you have that big collar, super evil. Mine's kind of bent here. I think if I were to heat it up and straighten it out, it might kind of go more uniform. But I don't mind it either way. The way it looks, I think it looks kind of cool. So just look at that glossy black paint. Fantastic. Beautiful figure. And then we'll take a quick look at some accessories here. So like we saw, she comes with the shoulder pieces. And she comes with the usual strap. I don't think I would ever put this on her. It just doesn't work with the armor. It's a brown leather strap. And then we have a regular knife. This is a pretty standard knife. I think a lot of the figures, I think maybe a couple of the goblins I got came with it. It does have some specific paint apps for her, so that looks kind of nice. And then we have this as a highlight. I like this piece, really nice. It's got a sheath, almost looks Egyptian or something, you know. And then it's got a curved blade inside. Really nice little knife. And I was able to peg this in because it's got a little clip. I was able to put it right here on her vinyl skirt piece up top there. So it goes on there nicely. I kind of like it there. I'm sure you could probably get it up over this belt area of it as well if you worked at it. Especially if you took this body piece off and then put it on and put the body back on. And then finally, well, first of all, we have these pieces here. These are these separate adapters for various things that can go on. Like this piece, you can put it on her back and you can put the sword in there. So if you want her just like packing a sword on her back, you can stick that there and then put the sword in like this. And then these are for like wings and stuff like that. And speaking of the sword, this thing is gorgeous. I love this sword. Look at that thing. Beautiful sculpt on there. With some nice paint work. Purple. Got that black running down that part of the blade here. Really nice sculpt. I love this sword. I think it's perfectly themed to this type of vampire character. It's almost like a ancestral sword. Pretty sweet. Pretty awesome piece. I think this sword also comes in like the evil weapons pack or something too. But really nice. And then in terms of the articulation, the head is on a ball joint. So you can look up and around. But that's it, just that one ball joint at the top. Shoulders are rotating this way, that much. It might be a little higher. Mine were super stiff. Mine were super stuck. And I had to really work them because I would just articulate it and then the whole arm would pop right out of the socket. Which these are kind of meant to do. They're meant to, you know, swap out parts and whatnot. You have a hinge at the elbow, single joint, goes that much. And then you have wrist hinge this way, and then it swivels. At the top of the torso, let me get this knife out of here. You've got a crunch. So you can crunch forward and backward. And then you have this swivel here. This kind of pops off easy if you don't have it on fully, but it's just a swivel. There's no more crunch at that point. And I think that's what kind of gets me is I think there's going to crunch, but it doesn't. It just swivels side to side pretty much as much as you want it to. And then down at the legs, it's a little tough with the lighting. The same typical leg joints with the hinge there and then the swivel there. Knee joint can articulate that much. And then you have the angled peg for the ankles, and then the rocker back and forth. These do kind of end up loosening up a bit. Like she's kind of loose now. I wish these were a little stiffer longer term. You know, like sort of like they come stiff, and then as you start messing around with them, they start to loosen up a little bit, and that's a little bummer, but not too big a deal. You could always use the floor polish technique and, you know, tighten those joints back up again. But overall, this is a fantastic figure. I love that shiny black. Once I saw somebody with this one, I immediately started seeking it out, and I was able to pick this one up in trade. But the in-stock sale, as of this video's publication, I think the in-stock sale had just happened. It happened on Monday, November 26th. So I doubt they're still in stock, but you never know. There might be still some at the like little slightly marked up Big Bad Toy Store prices as well, which this figure on Big Bad Toy Store would be $50, whereas on the pre-order site on the in-stock sale directly from Four Horsemen, I believe it'll be $35, or I believe it was $35. But overall, I'm pretty happy with this figure. I'm still really stoked about this line. You can see I have in the background, I have the Vampire Knight. That's got the similar body sculpt as the Shadow Elf Warrior that I reviewed a little while back. And thanks for watching. So question of the day. What is your favorite vampire book, movie, comic, game, or story of any kind? Let us know in the comments below. And remember to hit those like and subscribe buttons. Make sure you check out our other videos like our review of the Black Series Zuckuss. Find links to the DorkLair Collecting Podcast and our Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram pages in the description below. And may the Force be with you.
DorkLair!